Hello, 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 hello. If you can see me and hear me, please say hello or give me a thumbs up or something and like and subscribe and put emojis in the chat and just go crazy because we're here. It's Thursday. It's time for the Michael Essek Live Hour of Power. We are going to review and redesign some t-shirts, all being well. And yeah, let's see who we've got here today already. Mantis was here. We got Ray, who is in the house. There he is. Dopiart is here, and Pierre is here. David is waiting with bated breath. What does bated breath mean? Eddie. I mean, I know what it means, but what does it? Where does it come from? Eddie is here. Double sound, he says. Does that mean we got sound problems? Anyone, or are we doing okay? Accidental Fire says, "What's up? What's up to you too?" Paul is here. Reza is here. Ron is here. Sue is here. Amber is here. And Janet is here. Wonderful. So we got a full house this morning. Ivan from Croatia also. Wonderful. Okay. I'm assuming sound and everything is okay. So I will proceed. Hello to you, Gary, and hello to you, Live Cruelty Free Now. And Kathleen looks and sounds great. Great. Okay, so let's go. Redesigning t-shirts today. We have a big list of t-shirts. I need to find my list. That would be a good start. And then we can get into it. So, where is my big list of all your t-shirt designs? What you sent in. Here it is. There we go. Yeah, got it. Okay. So today we're going to do some more redesigning and stuff like we did last week. Now I did get a little bit overwhelmed with all the stuff people sent in. So please don't be mad if I don't get to yours, but we have more than last week. I was barely able to list them all out. And then some people sent some just before I went live. So unfortunately, I won't be able to get to yours. So it's kind of a first come, first served. Hopefully that's going to be the fairest way to do it. And what I'll do is I'll bash through these designs, give you some tips and critiques, and I'll do some sketching and stuff if it warrants it. So yeah, if you are watching and you're just joining me, please do like and subscribe wherever you're watching. Give it a thumbs up, give me a comment, give me a hello. Just helps the algorithm gods stay placated. You can sign up at michaelessek.com/live, and there you can get access to resources, downloads, PDFs, documents from previous sessions that we've done, some very helpful stuff in there. So do sign up if you haven't already. You can ask questions as we go, and I will endeavor to do my best to answer them. They don't have to be questions about the designs, they can be about anything. But the focus of this session today is going to be a redesign and critiquing session for user submitted designs, which means you. And yeah, you can stay till the end. You'll have a chance of winning a book. Last week's book winner is Guy Jones. So, Guy, if you're listening, if you're watching, please email me your details and I will get your book out to you soon. Actually, we ran out of books last week. We had a spurt of orders come in, so we are waiting on a new batch of books. But Guy, I will get yours out as soon as is physically possible. Okay, let's see who else we got in here. We've got Manash is here, Irina is here, Jennifer is here, Nicholas, Ron, Emily, Darren. Wonderful. Good to have you all here. Thank you for joining me. And without further ado, I think we'll just dive straight into some of these. I'm just going to get my iPad set up. Sorry. Into some of these designs. My only concern today is that my iPad was not really charged, and sometimes it be very temperamental and shuts down if it's only got 10%. It's currently only got about 10%. But let's hope for the best. Fingers crossed for my iPad. Okay, and Amr is here as well. Cool. Okay, so here, I'll pull it up. Big is a list of all the submissions we had. So we did have quite a lot. Hello to you, Teresa. So, first come, first served. We're going to start up here with Kelly, who sent this one in. Now, if you did send me, because I got so many submissions over the past 24 hours, I wasn't really able to pay much attention. So I've literally gone through the emails, grabbed links, uploaded files, and not really read anything. So if you have explained things, you have to I have to apologize that maybe you have explained a design. I've not really had the time to read it. So I'm just going to have to go off the top of my head and hopefully it will make sense as we go. Okay, let's see what we got here. Who was this one from again? Kelly. So Kelly sent this one and it says A Art of Adventure and it says explore the adventurous life. So the first thought I had when I saw this design was that it's a logo or something, or it's a design for a company or some kind of business. I don't know whether that's the case. And really, regardless of whether it is or well, I suppose if it is the case, if it is a design for a business of some kind, maybe some outdoor business or something, I'm not really sure. But that's the kind of message it gave to me. So it looks relatively professional and nice and clean and stuff like that. Um, I think there's a bit of a what's the word? A bit of a disconnect here between the design and what's described in it. So it says art of adventure and it says explore the adventurous life. And I think that's a reference to a compass on the front there. But apart from that, there's not much that really says adventure to me. Now, when I hear the word adventure, I think outdoors, I think outdoor activities, rock climbing, I don't know, things like that, hiking and stuff. There's not really anything in this design that says that. So if that is the kind of niche or the market we're going after, then I think there's more that could be done here. Now, the text "Art of Adventure" is what made me think this is a reference to a business or something. So if it's not, then we have bigger problems because I don't. If it's kind of a design trying to target people who are into adventure or outdoor activities or something, then I think it's far too generic and nebulous to really be of much use to anyone and to warrant sales. I think if you're trying to target people who are into outdoor sports or hiking or something, then you need to really drill down on that, and that includes kind of what we just said, design elements that say this is about the outdoors, and that usually means fonts which are quite outdoorsy, for lack of a better word, and elements like I would like mountains in the background and hills and I don't know, rivers and stuff like that. Anything that said outdoors, and this design doesn't really say that much. So I hope that helps you, Kathy. Was it Kathy? Kelly. Hope that helps you, Kelly. And sorry, I can't really dwell too much on designs today because we have a lot to get through. Okay, we have a few more people piled in. We got BNA is here, Scott is here, Janelle is here, Code Whisperer is here, Iqbal is here, Victor is here, and David. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. We have got a big list to get through, so I'm trying to smash through them. The next one is from Constantine, and this one is Trash Gang. And you can see here we've got a kind of comic book style illustration, Trash Gang text, and we've got a raccoon, is that a possum, and a rat. So, what can we say about this design? I think we've got an interesting, a decent concept behind it. So we've got this trash gang thing, the idea of all the animals that eat trash and stuff. Let's get them all together in a gang. That's cool. That's funny. That makes sense. And it's a topic that's been covered on t-shirt designs quite a lot. So that's I suppose it could be good and bad, but at least we know that people kind of respond to this kind of joke about raccoons eating trash, and it's kind of a meme. It's kind of a thing that people are sharing and stuff. So that's good. We've got a solid concept in terms of the design. I'm just going to comment on some of the weird design stuff I'm seeing here. So it looked like there's some weird effect on the artwork that's making it not very clear. I don't know how well you can see it, but it looks almost like it's been overlaid with some halftone effect, and it's really giving this degraded look, kind of faded look to the artwork. And I'm not sure whether that's fully intentional or not, but to me, that kind of makes it a little bit hard to. It makes the design pop a little less, and also it's not. I don't know. I'm not clear why that is, and it gives this kind of slight gradient to everything. I'm not sure when it's printed that this would be the best, you know, clearest design out there. So that's one comment on the just the effect of everything. Now, obviously, Constantine is a decent artist. He's I imagine he's drawn these animals, and we have some skill going on here. You know, the skill of this illustration. However, not really sure about the kind of comic book thing. So you see how we've got the three characters all separate in a different pane, and then a kind of comic book um, font going on. I'm not sure that's. I mean, unless I'm missing something, I'm not sure why you decided to approach it in that way, and especially to do this kind of obvious rectangle shape as well. So if we head over to the iPad, I'll kind of show you a couple of thoughts on this. Um, so whenever you're doing like a design that's kind of referencing a gang or a team or something, if you think about the kind of t-shirts that do that, then you usually see things like circles and badges, and because those are great, you know, they make for good kind of badges that identify the wearers. If you think about like a summer camp and everyone would be wearing a summer camp t-shirt, they'll be matching, you know, circular or badge shapes or something like that. And this kind of rectangle thing is less ideal for gang or team type designs. So how I would approach something like this, I would kind of start with a circle as my basis, at least as my foundation, and then I would try to do something maybe where we had a raccoon. Don't really know how to draw a raccoon. Um, so we had a raccoon up here. Let's say this is our raccoon, and he would be here. Needs to have his raccoony eyes. And then throw in your possum down here and your rat over here, and do something like this. So we've got them all together, maybe arms around one another or something. And then when we write underneath it, trash gang, you know, it brings everything together in a nice kind of, you know, badge design. You could do this like a banner or something. And I don't know. I think that's a nicer kind of concept and a way of tying everything together. Um, I mean, it's certainly simple and there's nothing, you know, particularly crazy about it. But I just think that idea of having the animals all together and kind of, you know, if you were taking a picture of a group of people or a gang for like a hip hop album cover or something, they'd all be next to each other probably, or, you know, doing something and, you know, arms up or arms around one another. So I think something like that would work better than this disparate design. But having said that, you know, it's not a bad design at all. The quality of the illustration and stuff is good. So I think you're on to something, Constantine, and I hope those critiques helped you. Okay, we've got some more people have joined us. We've got Kushbu in the house, and P. Taylor, and Mantis, and Patty, and Maxim. Hello to you all. You can feel free to ask questions as I go throughout. You can ask me about anything you like, but you can also ask about the specifics of these designs as well. Okay, this next one is from Ray. And this says, it's not about being good at something, it's about being good to yourself. And it has an illustration, very nice illustration of a lady in a yoga pose. So, first thoughts on this one is we have a recurring problem that we see in a lot of designs, which is the interplay between the text and the illustration is non-existent. So what we have is obviously the text, then the illustration, and then some text beneath, and there's no interplay between these elements at all. The illustration is not overlapping the text is not curving around the shape of the illustration in any way. There's no, even the colors here, the text is white, there is no white in the illustration, or certainly no clear bold white. So there's nothing really tying it together. So when you look at it, it doesn't look like a t-shirt design. It looks like someone's opened Photoshop or whatever, put a graphic in the middle, and put some text above and beneath. And there hasn't been much thought about the concept, the overall concept to tie everything together. Um, Now, with a design like this is obviously the phrase, I guess, is the thing um, that's really making the design. Otherwise, it's just a picture of a woman in a yoga pose. And I think that if you have a design like that and you want to make the text the thing, then you need to, especially with a design with so much text as this, so a very long phrase, then you need to really think about how you're going to lay out that text because there's so much text, it's hard to actually make it look nice on a design. If I fire up the iPad again, and the way I would approach something like this, just kind of off the top of my head, would be so what's the text again? It's not about being good at something, it's about being good to yourself. So I think a good who's a great example of this? Um I remember her name, which is why I have drawn a blank. I'm trying to find her. I think I found her. I haven't. Um, there's an illustrator. I follow her on Twitter. Let me see if I can find her here. Ah, okay. And it's not coming to me, but I've found some things that look kind of similar. So let me share those instead. So yeah, because you've got so much text, then something like this with when you've got a lot of text, it's hard to just have a single illustration and put the text around it. It's not going to look very nice. So something like this, where you take the message and you write it out, a nice hand lettering design with various elements, and you really make the phrase the focus of the whole design. So something like that is kind of how I'd approach something like this. Because otherwise it's just a pretty flat and not very inspiring design. And of course, if you're going for the yoga crowd, then I mean, we could just do a search for like yoga hand lettering, and I'm sure we'll find maybe not some great examples there, but certainly yoga has within it certain graphic elements and stuff. So you can um, have a bit of a research, something like this. I mean, that's a nice idea. They've taken the phrase and put it within the yoga lady. So something like that, I think, is probably the better way to go than just this flat kind of basic design. Gary has saved my bacon. It is Risa Rodil. I was looking for, I don't know what I was searching for, something else. But yes, Gary, thank you for that. Let's check her out so I can show you what I mean. Risa Risa is very good at this kind of hand lettering design, especially for pretty detailed phrases and stuff. You can see the quality of her illustration and how she doesn't necessarily. So, for example, here's a good comparison for what we're talking about. You've got the character in the middle, you've got the text all around it, and it is works all together. Every element plays together. The text is fitting with the illustration is complementing the text, and that's how I would approach something like your design, Ray. I would try to do something more like that. Okay. Thank you, Gary, for saving my bacon there. And Dopey Art says it Cat Coke. No, she's very good, but she's not really hand lettering like this. Cat Coke is kind of watercolor stuff, but she's very good as well. Lauren Hom is very good. Stan, she's a good hand letterer as well. But it was Risa Rodil I was looking for. Okay. All right. Let's see who's up next in our list. We have Kathy, who sent this one in. and it says total bull, and it has a bull and a graphic of a what I imagine is supposed to be the stock market or something like that. So a difficult one here because there's again we've got not much interplay between the elements, simple black and white. Trying to understand um, the market for the design, and that's tricky as well. So I guess the inference is that the stock market, the bull market at the moment, is not genuine, or it's BS. Um, total bull. I think actually a design like this, you'd be better off without the graphic of the bull, which it probably is laboring the point a little bit, and instead just have your graph. Although this is not a nice graphic of a graph in the first place, but if there's some way you could do that and have a nice graphic that worked nicely on a t-shirt, I'm trying to imagine what that would look like, but I'm struggling, to be honest. So the concept wise, like total bull and a bull market, yeah, that works. That works. The problem is, how do you illustrate it? How do you actually realize that concept in a design? And I think that's where this one's quite tricky, because a graph, a little line chart, a little line going up and to the right, is not actually it's not a great, it's not a great visual, it's not a great aesthetic. It doesn't give us a lot to work with. So I think I think this one needs to go to the drawing board and think again about the best way to illustrate that. It might be that you could do something like um, again, switching back to the iPad, something like, because the message is based on the oops, it's really a text-based design. That's the joke. It's a play between total bull BS and a bull market. So that being the case, you could do something like, write out in big bold letters, total bull. And then because you got big block letters, you could have behind there a obvious bull market indicator going up, and then you would shade that in, a different color, maybe a green color or something. So yeah, hope that makes sense. But basically, instead of trying to spell it out, we try and do it a little more subtly and do something like that, because that's the crux of the joke. Total bull market. You don't really need to have an illustration of a bull in there to make the point. Okay, hope that helps. And Stan said, make the graph look like a bull silhouette. Possibly. I'm not sure whether that would then carry over into the meaning of a bull market, whether that would be obvious. But anyway, hope that makes sense, and hope that helps you. Kathy, how are we doing on time? We're about halfway nearly, and we're only into number 5, so maybe you need to go faster. This one from Sue, kind of an Inca sun god type of thing. Hard for me to really comment on this one, not really knowing much about the niche really. But Sue, your illustration is obviously very detailed. You're a very skilled illustrator. I think the only advice I can really give is that these kind of designs do translate well to t-shirts, but of course you have to know the market, and you have to maybe try and find openings in there that are really going to give you an opportunity. Because I imagine this kind of thing, I don't know how you describe it, whether you call it like Inca or Mexican or tribal or something like that. These are the kind of phrases I'm throwing out, not knowing anything about the niche. But if you know something about it, you can go in and start researching, try and look at the phrases and the sayings that people are using. Look at various keyword tools and stuff to see if there's opportunities there that are not being, that have low competition that you can go and enter. But yeah, obviously it's not a design, it's not a hook, it's not a joke. There's no There's no hook for us to discuss. It's simply a nice illustration. And will people look for stuff like this and want to buy it? Yes, they will. So your job is to try and find opportunities in those markets by, I would say, looking for phrases that people use which are not the top level ones. So the uneducated person who guesses Inca or Mexican or something like that, you need to go in and find what are the phrases people actually use to describe this kind of artwork, and are there sub niches and sub communities within that. So yeah, I think that's really all I can say on that one, Sue. Carmen says possibility. Ray says thanks, thank you, Ray. Sue says tie to Red Bull. Yeah, probably risky, Sue. You don't really want to do anything about Red Bull being trademarked and all that. Okay, endless possibilities was from Carmen. So we got the bubble teas, we got a pun, possibilities. I like it. We did a very similar design. I don't know whether it was this time last year or something, or earlier this year, with a similar bubble tea design with a cute kawaii style illustrations. And we're seeing again some of the same problems we keep coming up against. So the text and the graphics, there is no interplay between the two. I don't really think there's much meaning behind the font choices. I don't really understand why you've made the choices you have, apart from they're just different fonts and you just like the way they look. But there's no connection between the font style and the illustration style necessarily. And the illustration itself, while very cute, I think there's more we could do with that as well. Gary has just suggested endless possibilities, which is a double pun, if you like. So he could take that one. Carmen, was it Carmen? Yeah. For free, I think. Gary won't charge you any royalties on that. So yeah, possibility there, possibility there. Here's how I would kind of look at realizing this concept. Let's switch back to the iPad, and what I would do is, so you've got all your T's. Whoops. You've got all your T's lined up like this, and none of them are touching or anything like that, so they all just look a bit flat, and then you've got text at the top and text beneath, and it's just not a very inspiring, coherent design. So to bring it all together, that's exactly what I'd do. I would have your T's overlapping, some in the background, just kind of showing up here and there, and being nice and together with the straws, of course. And then I would curve the text at the top and the bottom. Endless possibilities. And you could even do like a little highlight on the T's to make the joke obvious. And then you could even do like some bubbles around to kind of emphasize the bubble T point. But just something that it ties everything together. You put everything in more of a circle. You bring all the elements together so that they're overlapping and stuff. You could even find a way to get the text kind of overlapping on the illustration, or vice versa, something like that. So anything where you can do that and bring things together, I think is good. But otherwise, Carmen, nice concept, a nice pun, and yeah, I think that could work. I mean, another approach for a design like this, with the joke being that there's lots and lots of varieties of bubble tea, you could do it like this, do a really kind of big design. Maybe this would even work better as like a poster or something, and you just do like, this is going to look terrible, but hopefully you kind of see what I mean. You kind of do a collection of things design where you just have loads of different bubble teas, and they're all different colors, they all have different elements to them or whatever. If you really wanted to push the poster aspect, then you could kind of write out the different varieties of bubble teas or something. Maybe it would be like a nice design that a bubble tea shop would buy to hang in a store or something like that. But yeah, hope that makes sense. A couple of different approaches for you there. Okay, let's swing back to to our sheet and keep on going. And we got Robert. Next, Scott says, "Is bubble tea a thing?" Evidently so, Scott. Scott says first time he's heard of it. Well, now you know. I don't really know. I've never had bubble tea in my life. Awesome scientist from Robert. So struggled with this design really, Robert. Not sure if I'm missing something or whether it is just supposed to say awesome scientist and that's it. Is that the female icon thing? So I'm guessing that maybe has a relevance to the design. Whoops. I think that maybe one of the problems here is the text doesn't say scientist to me. The text says sports and that kind of thing. So that doesn't really connect. And I'm struggling to see really what the hook is with this design. That, okay, awesome scientist, in the same way that you might say awesome road sweep or awesome chimney sweep or awesome dentist or whatever. But there's just not a lot there. There's three illustrations which are kind of thrown on top of one another, and then the text above and beneath. I don't think it looks very professional. I think there's too many colors, there's too many elements going on. I think it needs to be really stripped back and thought again. But I think perhaps the problem here is more the concept and struggling with that and what that really is about. I'm sure there are lots of awesome scientist designs out there. I'm sure they sell. I'm also sure that's probably a busy space to play in anywhere like that where it's so generic. I mean, for example, this could be a design that was awesome, genetic biologist or something like that, something really specific, and then you would have a hook through which to do an illustration that was specific to that niche or whatever. Without that, it's hard for me to really comment on it. So yeah, I'm struggling with that one, Robert. Okay, Usama says, doesn't say, but he has this store, Teespring store, and it looks to me, Usama, like what you're doing or what you've done is you've taken clip art or even pre-made designs. I'm guessing, because I'm seeing a lot of kind of clip art graphics with text above and below. I think, to be honest, I can just give a generic kind of bit of advice here. It's just that um, this design says it really. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this level, this generic level of designs. Gamer mode on, living my best life. Allergic to people, wish you were beer. Who's it for? Who are the designs for? Who are you targeting? Why are you using such generic terms and language? Why aren't you able to use specific terms or make specific jokes and use specific hooks? There's nothing here that's this is perhaps a better one, but we've got an obvious design problem here in that you've got black. For some reason, you've got a black background on a white shirt. And why you haven't done this artwork on a black shirt and simply got rid of the black background, I'm not sure. But at least this design seems to have a little bit more about it. But I think the message I'm getting from your story is that you don't really know what you're doing. You're throwing a lot of things at the wall, but you're using clip art, which I don't think is your own artwork in the first place. And you're targeting a lot of generic and disparate niches. And I think you're going to struggle to really see success with any of it. Here's another example of where you've filled the background with a color, and you got this square, square graphic, which obviously has just been plopped on the t-shirt. Doesn't look like a t-shirt design. Looks like a postcard design that's been dropped on a t-shirt. So yeah, I think I would say back to the drawing board and try and do something unique, original. Try and target some people, a group that you know something about, and really put some thought and effort into it. Because at the level this is, I think you could create 100 such designs, even 500 or 1,000 such designs, and you will find very little success because you're targeting such broad generic niches in in such a typical way as well. Even if you were targeting like the gaming niche in a funny, original way, that would be something. But because you're just doing very generic, low level stuff, some gaming headphones with a little line of text, it's really going to be tough sledding for you, Usama. Okay, Yusuf has a Father's Day store, and it's here. Um, okay, so this seems to be, Yusuf, a lot of designs that say Happy Father's Day um, inside different shapes. Like here we've got like a Pac-Man ghost, and it just says Happy Father's Day and I love you, Dad, in lots of different ways, in lots of different fonts. And I think there's a real problem, a real disconnect here between number one. First of all, Father's Day is a good opportunity to sell T-shirts and to create artwork for that festival, if you like. However, I'm not sure that a T-shirt that says "I love you, Dad" makes that much sense. What sells great at Father's Day is "World's Best Father" with jokes or something. I'm the best father in the world. You can't scare me. I have daughters. Anything like this, where there's a joke and it's identifying the wearer. It's in the voice of the person wearing it. I love you, Dad is not something a father would say. It's not something a dad would say. Well, he might say it to his dad, but it's what children say to their fathers. So it doesn't make sense really for them to wear it on a shirt. That's one thing. The other thing is, you know, even if you had a phrase here that a father would wear on a shirt, I don't understand why repeating it in a shape is a great idea. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, sorry. This just really, I think you're going to struggle to really. I mean, look, I love you, Dad. This is like this is better than all these shape ones put together because at least there's a standout graphic, a simple message, and it's done in simplicity. And these are just confusing. They're not very nice to look at. They're amateur looking. So yeah, hope that helps you, Yusuf. Sorry if I offended at all. Okay, how are we doing? We got maybe 20 minutes left. Not seeing any questions. So, okay, let's keep on going. Seb has got one here, Cycle of Life. And Seb sent through like 4 or 5 designs like this. So they were all with the kind of vintage sunburst graphic behind, and then a silhouette within it. And then something like one of them was a surfer and it said go on surfing or something like that. So, I think what can we say about this? This is a illustration of a bike silhouetted against a colored thingy background, and it says "Cycle of Life." I just don't. Again, there's no real hook here. There's no message. There's nothing that's really gonna help people, laugh out loud or whatever. I suppose you could say it's a kind of a pun, but it's not a great one. And there's so little going on that that I'm really struggling. And the same with the other designs that you sent, Seb. Are they visually appalling? No. Are they visually appealing? Uh, but the bigger problem is there's no message, there's no hook, there's no real reason why someone would want to wear this, even if they're a cyclist. There's not really a clear message there. There's not a clear joke. And yeah, sorry, just not a lot there for me to hang my hat on. This one from Sandra 404 ball not found. I like this concept. I think we have a solid joke there. It isn't one I've heard before. I don't know whether it's been done 1,000 times or not. But so for golfers, and it says 404, as in 404, the error message on websites. So I think the thing I would do here. So I did get the joke, even though it took me a second, thanks to the little golfer silhouette there. But what I would want to do, so you've got this joke which is based on for the golfing term, sounds like 4 as in 404, and then putting them together. Um, but what you haven't done is incorporated any of the kind of computer website side into the golf side. We've just got a basic text design with a little golf guy. So, is there a way? This is a question rather than an answer, but is there a way to make it look something like a 404 error page to make it more obvious? Um, I don't know. Off the top of my head, there are some obvious. Um, there are a couple of graphics that kind of lend themselves to that message, like the Chrome little T-Rex that you sometimes get when Chrome isn't connected to the internet. That possibly could be a kind of graphical representation of 404. So maybe there's something you could do there. Um, but that's just that's just me kind of wanting to push the concept a little bit further and make the joke a little bit more obvious. Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, and I think hopefully it is something that a lot of people would get. The kind of people who understand websites and play golf. So yeah, I think it's a good concept. I just think maybe the design is a little bit simplistic, a little bit basic, and there are ways you could push it further and try and get more out of it than just leave it as this basic kind of text design, which is obviously going to be very easily imitated as well by other people. So anything you can do to really, incorporate something unique and copyrightable within your design is always worth pursuing. Okay, Phil says would need to make it like Lion King, Circle of Life, and then copyright issues. Yeah, I guess that's a good point on the Cycle of Life one. B&A question: how do you learn where to properly place graphic designs on the t-shirt uploaders on the POD sites? Like how high or how low on the shirt? The basic rule of thumb is does it look right? Have a look yourself at the mock-up when you've published it, and ask yourself, does that look natural? Is it big enough? Is it too small? Is it too big? Is it too left, too right, or whatever? Um, and simply do it that way. The other way is to look at, for example, some of the best sellers on Redbubble or Amazon and just compare yours to theirs and ask, am I in the right position? Am I matching the position that these guys are using? And if you're not, and if you're all the way at the bottom or the middle of the shirt, then something's wrong and you would want to readjust. So, hope that makes sense, B&A. Kirby, there are so many popular designs according to Redbubble with that same retro sun background. How is it not oversaturated at this point? Well, you presuppose, Kirby, that it is not oversaturated when in fact it probably is. People can keep uploading stuff. Redbubble doesn't stop you. People can upload stuff forever and probably will, even if it is saturated. So that's not a good that's not a way to tell whether something is oversaturated or not. It probably is. Um, so yeah, but using the retro sun background in and of itself isn't a niche. That in and of itself is not necessarily something people will look for. Instead, people are using that graphic element and applying it to lots of different niches. And you could perhaps do the same. You could apply it to your concept. You might have a joke that's somehow about the beach or whatever, in which case it would make sense to use a kind of retro sun background in your design. So I wouldn't be scared off of using it when it makes sense to do so, but certainly a million designs with a retro sun background and a different silhouette in each one, there's limited legs to something like that, and you're not really adding much value when you think about it. Enna is here, no problem. Mouthwatering Recipe says, do you recommend the automatic upload tools, and how many is the limit for daily upload on the different big POD platforms? I do not use any automatic upload tools. I have my sister who uploads for me. I am very wary of any tool that does things automatically and in the background and stuff. The only exception is the Merch Wizard, which doesn't actually automate uploads, but it speeds things up. So anything where there's, clicking involved and you have to do stuff and it just makes it easier, that's fine. But I don't use anything that automates the process, and I'm very wary because I know through personal experience and through hanging around in lots of Facebook groups and stuff that people are regularly getting accounts banned and disabled or shut down and stuff. And I think that anything involving bots and automation can lead to issues with these sites. Even if they say it's cool and it's safe or whatever, I'm very wary of it. That's just me personally. Mustafa said, "Is Redbubble worthy? Worthy of what, Mustafa? I imagine you mean, is it worthy of your time? And that really depends. I decided, or I knew Redbubble was worth my time when I started selling on it. So before that, I didn't know, and I was testing the waters by uploading designs to Redbubble. When they started selling, that's when I had confirmation that yes, it is worth it. Um, but by that time, I only had maybe five or 10 designs up. So is it worth it for you? That's a question only you can answer, and you find the answer by putting some stuff up there and seeing if you start generating sales. If you don't, then I would stop because something's wrong. Anytime that it's fine to say, it's going to take a while for something to work. Usually what we mean there is that it's going to take a while for something to get to a level that's significant. Um, if you do something for a month and you see no results, then you have to ask yourself, how long am I going to wait for results? What am I doing wrong here? Why am I not seeing results? There are things that take a month or 2 months to get rolling, but if you're not seeing results after 3, 4, 5, 6 months, then you really have to revisit your strategy because something is not working. Obviously, when I started on Redbubble, there was just a few designs there. It took me a while to really see, but it only took me maybe a month to start seeing sales, and then those sales were regular. But obviously, it was a low level of sales because I only had a few designs up. But the principle was proved, and I understood that if I then just added more and more designs, I would increase my earnings. So hope that makes sense. Um, Accidental fire. I don't like hopping on fads and trends, but hey, when they're selling and bringing in dollars, I'm okay with it. Yeah, absolutely. That's a true thing. Kirby says, thanks, Michael. No problem. Okay, let's see if we can just get through a few more of these before we have to wrap this up. So, again, sorry if I'm not going to be able to get to yours today. I do apologize, but we have been bombarded with designs. This one from Irina, who sent one in last week. So this is obviously a different take on the design she did last week. It says reality sucks, and it's a person with a unicorn mask on, unicorn mask / helmet. Couple of comments on the design side. It looks like, and I can't be sure because the quality of the image isn't great, but it looks like you've got this kind of splattering pastel-y effect on the background. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but there's kind of little bits of white here. I don't know whether that's intentional or not. That looks to me a little bit distracting and strange. I would want to probably lose those unless I had a really good reason for keeping them. The use of your name down the side, I can see why you'd want to do that to kind of keep the copyright kind of element going and reference it. I do think that's very large. Usually, when you see people with a little copyright or trademark thing on a design, it would be quite minuscule and kind of just tucked away somewhere. So I think that you're risking imposing your name on the design, and obviously unless people are looking for the design because of you and because of what your name means, it's going to be hard to justify that showing up at such a large scale on the design. The illustration of the unicorn, I think, could be improved. I think that it's a little bit amateurish, especially, for example, the eye here doesn't look to me like what a unicorn's eye would look like, or indeed what a unicorn eye on a unicorn mask would look like. And again, with the ears as well, I think they could use some work. I understand it's quite an abstract design, and it's supposed to kind of, and it does work as a kind of abstract visual representation. Like I get it. I get the pastel effect. I like the handwritten text. I just think if we're talking about how to turn this into something that makes sales, I think we need to tackle things like it's not obvious what the concept is. It's not obvious what the joke or the hook is. And there are, if that's what your intention is, then you have to go through some steps to change it in order to have it make sense and work at that level. Alternatively, you can just say, you know what, it's just a kind of abstract pastel unicorn design, and it doesn't really have to be obvious what the hook or the joke is. In which case, it's fine. I still think I would do a little bit of work on the eye and things and just kind of neaten things up a bit, but then fine. But I don't think as a concept it's likely to, number one, get much people who are going to be searching for anything like this, and number two, it's hard to really see where it fits, and why people would be interested in buying it. So if we go back to last week and remember the questions that we had, who is going to wear this design, why are they going to wear it, and how are they going to find it? I think again we need to ask those questions about this design, and I think it comes up short in some ways. Okay, Roberta has this design which says. So this is obviously, I think she submitted it. Roberta, yeah. So I think Roberta submitted this because it's going to be used as a T-shirt design for this classic car and bike show. So that's good. I get that. So we're not talking here about a design that people are going to be searching for online. Instead, we're maybe talking about a design that people are going to pick up at the bike show or something like that. It's going to be maybe screen printed or whatever. So we have got some big problems here, I think. Number one, this kind of vintagey weather defect that's going on. The black is a problem. So typically, what you see when you use the kind of weather defects, what you want to do is cut out some of the graphic that's going to be printed onto the shirt. If you think about how a shirt is printed, screen printed especially, so you're going to have the blank T-shirt. Let's say it's black. A black blank T-shirt is going to be laid on the screen, and then you're going to pull the ink through, and it's going to put this layer of flat ink over the top. And what you want to do when you want to give a weather defect is you want to cut out some of that screen that ink so that it looks like it's kind of worn and has come loose and come off the shirt. Now here, what I would say the background of this design is this kind of mustardy yellow, and what you've then done is put a black weather defect over the top, and it just looks just really amateur and not right. What you would want to do instead, which I'm kind of guessing at, I think what you wanted to give it a weather defect, what you would want to do is, instead of adding on black on top, what you would want to do is cut out from the black and the design that you've got, and kind of do a cut, if you like. So you're removing those from the elements so that the yellow, the background, the yellow is showing through the text, which is kind of happening on like this font, but doesn't seem to be happening anywhere else. And instead, we just got this black plonked over the top. So that's a problem. Yeah, there's a couple of other problems with the design. This car graphic is obviously multicolored, which is a problem. It looks like a bit of clip art that's been dropped on. It doesn't look like part of the design. There's a few too many fonts. You've stretched your font, so you've stretched it. I can tell. You're not, which is again another kind of amateur giveaway. I think while your overall kind of concept of main title and then your text and your graphic and text beneath is a good starting place, you really would want to revisit it. And for example, I would try something like just kind of taking your same thing. I would try and do again, kind of, we talked about like a badge kind of approach or something, but to give yourself some kind of background foundation to work with, then do your car graphic kind of in the center, and you got like Auburn car show, let's just call it that for now, at the top, and then a little bit of text in here in this space, a little bit of text beneath, and then maybe some final text at the bottom, maybe with some of your star graphics on either side, but just kind of bring it all within a shape. And what you've got at the moment is kind of a weird a rectangle, which is not the ideal shape for t-shirts in the first place. And you've got your elements like this, so everything's separate, everything is kind of apart. It's not horribly visually displeasing, layout wise. But if you can do something like this, where you bring it all together within a shape, I think you'll find what you get is a much more visually pleasing design. Okay, we've got maybe 5 minutes left. I'll just do one more quickly. Sorry, I'm not going to get to half of what I wanted to, but this design says, I never dreamed. Who's this from? Katie. I never dreamed I'd grow up to be a super sexy camping lady, but here I am killing it. Again, we've got kind of some amateur giveaways. Lots of different fonts. A few too many colors. We got purple, we got yellow, we got green, we got kind of off-white, and we've got various different elements dropped all over the place. It isn't a nice, coherent design. It's not fitting together nicely. These kind of phrases that are very ubiquitous, that appear everywhere. I never dreamed I'd grow up to be a XXX, but here I am killing it. I would stay away from them unless you're using them ironically, to be honest. Unless you have a really strong reason for using it, but I think you'd probably be able to find almost every kind of variation and niche serviced in this area. And I just think it's not the best approach and use of your time and energies. So I would rather spend some time thinking about, okay, who's it for? Who's this design for? Oh, it's about ladies who like camping. Okay, right. There must be some jokes, some puns, some hooks, some quotes, some sayings, some things that we can do that haven't been done to death for lady campers that are much more appealing and that would make a much better original design than what we see here. So yeah, I would go back to the drawing board on that one, to Katie. All right, I think we're going to have to wrap it up roundabout there. So let me take some of your questions and we will start coming in for a landing. Scott, would you take down all previous not well executed art from these sites? I have 300 plus things on Redbubble and something is not working, is an understatement. As I improve, hopefully what to do. I don't know that you need to take things down. I think that's not a great approach. What I have done in the past, especially when I've kind of had a new approach to things, or so for a while I did designs which were kind of borderline IP, stuff while I was finding my feet in the early days. And then I kind of realized, okay, I need to do original stuff and I need to do lots of it. So I started a new Redbubble account. I had a new kind of energy behind it and I was spitting out designs left and right. And it gave me a freedom because I wasn't worried about, doing designs that weren't fit for my previous Redbubble account. And that's an approach that you could go down, Scott. So I don't think really removing designs is necessarily the way to go. But what you certainly could do is say, forget that, it didn't work, start a new account or something, and kind of adapt like that. Okay, Much Papa looks like drawn with chalk or something. Yes, that is the kind of effect of the unicorn design. Beastie Ryan says, please be the Flamazing. Sorry, guys, I'm not going to get to all of the designs. We're only got halfway through. I tried to go as fast as I could, but you can see it's very difficult. Scander says, this has been really helpful. Will you post a recording of it? Yes, as soon as this is finished, there will be an automatic replay, should be available shortly thereafter. And Scott says, thanks, Michael. Okay, so yeah, we didn't get through everything today. Sorry about that. If you are looking if you have a design that you really want to get my opinion on, or you're looking for maybe one-on-one private feedback, you don't want to share your designs publicly, you don't want them going out publicly on YouTube and everywhere like they do when you send them to me here, then I am available for private consultation. If you drop me an email, michael@michaelessek.com, I will get back to you with some details and time slots and stuff like that if you want to go that route. So yeah, obviously I'm not able to get through everyone's designs every week. It's kind of first come, first served. So keep an eye on your inbox and get those replies in quick if you do want to be at the top for maybe next week or next time that we do this. So yeah, I hope that was helpful today. If you are looking for more one-on-one help, private help, then do email me, michael@michaelessek.com, and I'll get you some of the details. A couple of other questions come in here. David, if Redbubble isn't working with interest in sales, could TeePublic bring different fortunes? Are they different crowds? I would say they're not so significantly different that I think if you took a load of designs from Redbubble that aren't selling and put them on TeePublic, you'd find success. They're not. There's not that much of a difference between them. And remember, like at least half of my traffic for Redbubble and TeePublic comes from Google. So you're talking about people going to Google and searching for a design and then going to Redbubble or TeePublic because they've seen something they like or that's been the top result. So yeah, that in that way, Redbubble and TeePublic are both vehicles to allow you to get your designs in front of people via Google, and in that sense, they're both pretty similar. They're both very good vehicles for that. They both rank well in Google. So if you're not having success on Redbubble, it's unlikely that simply putting the same designs on TeePublic is going to make a great difference. The bigger thing you want to be looking at is is the design, is the hook, is the meaning, is the audience you're going after. Again, the three questions: who's going to wear it? Why are they going to wear it? How are they going to find it? And try and answer those. And Jeanette says, when putting a design on a t-shirt mock-up, how do you make it look like it's printed? For example, on a mock-up t-shirt that isn't flat but has creases or wrinkles. And Jeanette, there's a service called placeit.net, placeit.net, and they have the facility that you upload your design and they will put it on graphics like that. But you can also find Photoshop, smart object based templates that you can find. Some of them will be free online if you just Google Photoshop t-shirt mockups, and they will have this displacement map that makes it, look as if it's a genuine t-shirt with all the wrinkles and everything. Okay, thank you, Ray. Enna says, if text is not 300 dpi, will it be okay? I think 300 dpi is just kind of the standard for most of the uploady places. So I would want to keep it at 300 dpi. I'm not sure why you wouldn't. Yeah, maybe it does need to be a bit longer much. Thank you, Anjanette. You're very welcome. So I think we'll round it up there for today. If you do want to have a chance of winning one of my Little Book of T-shirt ideas, which is nowhere to be found right here. Or here I have a preview copy. You can pick it up at michaelessek.com, but if you want to have a chance of winning, then what you want to do is wait till this video finishes, and then as soon as the live stream's over, write a comment beneath on YouTube. Tell me what you got out of this one today, and I will pick a winner at random before next week's live, and you will win a free copy of my book. So we'll do that again for next week. I think that's really it for today. If you're not already signed up, make sure you go to michaelessek.com/live to subscribe and get some resources and goodies. I will be sending out my usual email tomorrow with a few updates and exciting and interesting things that have happened this week. Apart from that, I think I'll leave it there. So have a great rest of your evening or day. Have a good weekend. And I'll talk to you soon tomorrow, hopefully, and then next week as well. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, David. Thank you, Kirby. Thank you, BNA. Thank you, Gary. As always, keep creating, and I'll see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.